I'm gonna share with you how we can use everything we know to set up HDR on a game like this, Remnant, which it doesn't have native HDR, it doesn't support the auto HDR from Windows 11. So what can we do? I'm gonna share with you the specific settings for this game, but better than that, just in general, what is that we're looking for? It's not that I have like HDR, I developed already HDR consciousness. So I know how HDR is supposed to look like. It's not that, it's not difficult. You need to make sure you have perfect OLED black, so you have zero candelas. You check those black screens and you adjust the black level using fine-tuned dark areas. Why is better to use that instead of using the brightness? I learned that it is better to use fine-tuned dark areas because that lowers the black level for the lower end of the grayscale. So it doesn't affect the mid-tones as much. So we want to use that fine-tuned dark areas before that using brightness. So we lower that until we get perfect black. So we check the black screens that the game have. Then we make sure what is the peak brightness. So when we do that, when we turn on HDR on Windows 11, the game doesn't support auto HDR from Windows 11. So we see the TVs on HDR. What the game is trying to output is 10,000 nits. So we know already that the only option possible is dynamic tone mapping. So if the game is trying to output 10,000 nits, dynamic tone mapping is the only option. And it doesn't matter if you adjust that SDR to HDR slider on Windows 11, it doesn't matter. So what we want to do with that slider is we want to max that out to get the best results. So we max that out, use dynamic tone mapping, adjust the black level, and then next we need to adjust the mid tones of the game, and that is going to depend on the game, of course. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna show you the screen closely. I'm gonna share with you the settings, the specific settings that I'm using for this game, Remnant from the Ashes, which is a Souls-like game, shooter, very, very fun. I love this game. And there's a new game coming now that Evil West. It's looking very fun. I'm excited to play that game. The gameplay looks very fun. It has close combat and it has shooting. I'm liking that game. So I'm gonna show you the screen closely so you see how it looks. I'm gonna share the settings with you, and so you can learn to do this too. Let me turn off the lights in my room, and let me adjust the screen better for you. Let me make this zoom. Okay, so let me open the game. Let me adjust the exposure first because this is looking overexposed. Okay, now it's looking better. Okay, let's open the game, see how it looks. So again, the HDR on Windows, just max out the slider, and I'm gonna show you the settings on the TV. So let me show you how this looks. It's looking absolutely amazing. Let me adjust the exposure so it's closer to what I see in front of me. Yeah. So this is looking absolutely amazing. It's just fantastic. So I am getting pop from that light source. I am getting the pop. I measure, for example, this light source is up to 800 nits. So this is as bright as this display gets, and it's looking fantastic. So let me show you the settings on the TV. We have to go to settings here and turn on dynamic tone mapping. And we are going to use fine-tune dark areas here. So we go to game optimizer. Make sure you see that. And we go down here to fine-tune dark areas, and -14 was the value that gave me perfect blacks. So basically when you open the game, you're going to see the title, Remnant from the Ashes, and the rest of the screen is black. It's perfect black. So we're going to lower these fine-tuned dark areas to -14. So what you do is you start lowering this until you see that the pixels are off. And that's very easy to see. On a dark room, you will see the pixels, they turn off. And then to adjust the midtones on the game, we go here to options. And I'm going to show you also the settings. I'm going to share with you the settings I'm using on the game. And I have to lower this brightness on the game to 43. You can use 43, maybe if you like it a little bit brighter, you can use 47. I like 43, but 47 is okay. 50 looks a little bit too bright, but you can use 47, and it's still good. Most people might probably prefer that. So what we have to do on the game, we have to adjust the midtones, because this is not gonna be accurate. So the midtones are going to be affected. So you have to lower the midtones to get a better result. So that's what I did, and this is looking pretty good. Especially when I start measuring the peak brightness of those light sources, it is very bright. It is very bright, and I see no clipping. So that's what HDR is all about. HDR is about a wider color gamut, which we are not getting here because there's no color transformation. So this is just colors inside Rec 709, which there's nothing wrong about that, but it's gonna be less colorful. And HDR is about shadow detail and highlight details. So we have these OLEDs that can output 0, like it can basically give you perfect black. So we need to make sure we are getting perfect blacks. We are getting the maximum peak brightness of the display. So all those highlights, all those light sources are as bright as your display can get. And the midtones, we need to make sure that the midtones are right, that they look good. Of course, on the recording, it is never possible to see exactly what I see in front of me. I might change the exposure maybe, but it is impossible that you can see the same. But you have to rely on my description. This is looking very, very good. If you have the game, if you're playing it, if you've never played this game and you're a Souls fan, this is a must play. It's awesome game. You shoot, you dodge, you shoot, and you do some close combat too, depending on the weapon you have. It is very, very fun. I love this game. I beat the game already. Actually, I'm still on the final boss. I have the save file. It is not this one. This is a new game. I have to copy my save files because I updated from Windows 10. I was playing this game on Windows 10. So I still have to beat the final boss, which is very difficult. But I'm gonna beat the game. It's almost done. Very, very good game. I highly recommend it if you've never played it before. And the settings I'm using on the game, you see I'm getting like over 100 frames here. The settings I'm using is NVIDIA image scaling, because this game doesn't have DLSS. So I use NVIDIA image scaling with this resolution, 2954 by 1662, and I use 20% sharpness on that resolution, and just the game max out. That's it. And turn off the usual stuff, your motion blur, and that's it. That's the settings I am using on the game. Let me know if you can, with everything we know now, if you are able to set up your HDR settings, because that's my goal. If you watch all my videos, I hope that you already know how to set up the settings yourself, so you don't need me to set up any HDR settings. So in case you're playing a game that I don't play, then you know how to set up the settings, and also by using that HDR WCG image viewer app, which is basically we take a screenshot like I do here, took a screenshot, Alt F1, we open that screenshot with HDR WCG image viewer app, and we will see that the game is trying to output 10,000 nits. So that's how I know, I need to use dynamic tone mapping. Okay, so that's using everything we know to set up HDR on this game, which doesn't support HDR. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions.